welcome to another episode of Diary of a Wannabe Comedian with me, Belle, a wannabe comedian. I have said this intro about 1,000 times, I think. I just can't get it right. So we're going to just have to go with that version. But I've had a very French-influenced week. And I suspect you're probably thinking, oh, this is to do with the decision I may or may not have made to go to France at the weekend. But you'll have to wait and listen because I'm only going to talk about that at the end of this podcast. No, what I'm actually referring to is on Wednesday, I went to a French brasserie, Toulouse-Lautrec, over near Elephant and Castle. And that was to watch a friend of Matt's in a show. And the show was called Blodwyn in Paris. And that is off the back of her previous show, which I'm pretty sure I've talked about on a podcast before. But her previous show was Blodwyn in Town, where she talked about a Welsh lady coming to London. There was some comedy, there were some songs. This time, it was a Welsh lady being an au pair in Paris. And there was some comedy and there were some songs. She also gave a few people red roses at the beginning, and I have one on my table in front of me now because she gave one to Stevie, who was sat at our table, and he gave it to me. And I came home, put it in water, and it is thriving. But that was jolly good fun. And then last night I was in another, well, I believe it's a French brasserie, but another one, this time in central London, but this was for a show in the theatre-y bit called Crazy Cocks. And it was to see a friend of mine, Queen Bayard. And Queen Bayard is a drag queen. And he as himself did the first half of the show. And then he did the second half of the show as Queen Bayard. And it was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. He's got such an amazingly powerful voice. I'd never heard him sing. And he plays the piano. I mean, I'm always in awe of people who can play the piano and sing at the same time and do the foot thing. I mean, that's just, multitasking on another level. But he also looks stunning, and it was just great because I only knew him, I met him on a Logan Murray course, and he did just a normal comedy set there. And he talked about the fact that he does drag. So it was really nice to actually meet him, dragged up. So that was last night. Go on, rattling through the week, aren't I? So Tuesday, let me do a rundown of Tuesday. Tuesday was my animation course. I have not yet done my vlog, but I don't think it's too critical actually, because it's a bit slow going when you start a course. So I think I can get away with doing a month update and then do them weekly. But on Tuesday, I did an animation of a worm. And I was very pleased with my worm. The timing is not brilliant because I kept losing count because it's a very noisy environment. And obviously the lecturer is talking through things and it just made me lose track. And it would have been better if I'd have counted because, the way a worm moves, the front moves, then the back moves. And the little loop in the middle, I wanted to do the same number up as down. But, I got easing in and easing out as well, which is another principle of animation. But I'm not going to go into these in too much detail because that's what the vlog's all about. But we were learning about the first principle, which is squash and stretch. Now then, you want to know what decision I have made about going to Gay Paris. Well, the simple answer is I'm going. I'm so excited. I do like doing these last minute things. I mean, part of me would like to plan it a bit more, but sometimes doing things spontaneously is better. So I am off tomorrow evening to Paris, and I'm going to be watching England get their butt kicked on Saturday because I asked my friend Alexander, before I made a decision on my ad, I asked him what he thought would happen, and he wasn't that complimentary, let's put it that way, about England's chances, and he believes that South Africa could quite easily put 50 points on us. But we will see. Perhaps the fact that I am there and my presence may lift their game. We can only hope. Otherwise, Comedy Dan, who is South African, is obviously going to be really giving me some stick. So Monday's podcast will be all about my weekend, which means I just need to update you on tonight. I am doing some stand-up comedy at Quintessential Comedy in Kentish Town. Much love and gratitude.